Hello, people of YouTube. My name is Steve Gray. This is Gray's Guitars, and thank you for watching. I was debating whether or not to make this video yesterday. A lot of people were shredding for Eddie Van Halen. May he rest in peace, as I'm sure you know by the title of this video. But he was a famous man and had an equally famous guitar. They called him a rock god, and yes, he was indeed a rock god. So I thought we would just, kind of hang out here for a couple of minutes, kind of respect the man, respect his playing. May he rest in peace. If you're wondering what got to him, it was inevitably the throat cancer. Basically, what happened is it spread to his brain, and he died at the age of 65. So not a young man, but not an old man either, somewhere in the middle. So Edward Van Halen was an American musician, songwriter, producer, and inventor. He was the main songwriter and lead guitarist for the American rock band Van Halen, which he co-founded in 1972 with his brother, drummer Alex Van Halen, bassist Mark Stone, and singer David Lee Roth. He was well known in popularizing the tapping guitar solo technique, allowing rapid arpeggios to be played with two hands on the fretboard. In 2012, he was voted #1 in a Guitar World magazine readers' poll for the 100 greatest guitarists of all times, and he rightfully deserves that spot. So he was born in Amsterdam, the Netherlands, son of Jan Van Halen and Eugene Van Halen. He comes from a Dutch background. They moved from the Netherlands to the United States in 1962, and then he ended up in Long Beach City College at one point for piano, so he definitely had a nice musical background, which is why I think he was as good as he was. So, yes, there are plenty of musicians that are great that don't have any music background, but it definitely helps if you know your theory and all of that, kind of technical stuff. Being able to read music, etc., definitely helps. So, after forming the band in 1972, 72 rather, 2 years later the band changed the name to Van Halen at the same time because of the staple to the Los Angeles music scene while playing well-known clubs like the Whiskey A Go-Go, Warner Brother Records, and I'm sure plenty of others. Van Halen reached number 19 on the Billboard Pop Music Charts, becoming one of rock's most commercially successful debates. It was highly regarded as both heavy metal and hard rock albums. By the early 80s, he was one of the most successful rock acts of all time. The album 1984 went 5 times platinum a year after its release. The lead single Jump became the band's first and only #1 pop hit that garnered them a Grammy nomination. It doesn't look like they actually got the Grammy, but as with most rock music, it doesn't typically happen. Tapping, we know about all of the tapping. And of course, we know about the Franken Strat. Let's take a look at it there. So let's just go over to Equipment Board. If you're not familiar with the website, basically you can search up any musician you want and see what guitars they played. And this is the Franken Strat right here, and I'm hoping it gives us some more information about it. It did when I clicked on it initially. Of course, it's not going to right now. So more. Here we go. So he built this himself, custom painted it himself. Most people call it the Franken Strat. Not many people call it Frankenstein. He himself might have called it Frankenstein, but it is known as the Franken Strat. He built it back around 1974. This is him being quoted here. I was looking through, and if you notice old pictures, it had a Gibson sticker on it. That was the perfect thing when I was trying to do a cross-pollinate a Gibson with the Fender. This was way before Floyd. I didn't have the money. The guitar I wanted to play didn't exist. It was that simple. The body cost me $50 and the neck cost me $80. The source linked this first series of videos, which Eddie details his experiences with the original Frankenstein and its replicas. The laters were designed by Chips Ellis of Fender. So, if you're not familiar, they did do basically an exact replica of the guitar that cost like $25,000 that nobody could afford besides the Richie Rich of the Toppy Top. That I think was kind of a money grab at the time. But basically, it is a top Floyd Rose guitar It has a Gibson pickup that is tilted in the bridge, and the reason that it is tilted is because Gibson pickups are not F-spaced or Fender or Floyd-spaced, if you prefer. So it had to be tilted so that way the strings line up with the magnets correctly. The paint job obviously is custom. He's got a fake pickup in the neck position, fake 5-way switch. Basically, it's one volume knob. That's it. That's the entire gist of the guitar, this particular guitar. And many people, including myself, have made their own versions of it. And if we go back to the equipment board page, there are several versions of himself. So here's the original. Then we have the Kramer version of the guitar. Then he has another custom built one, about 78, he did that. Then we have another Kramer guitar. We have an Ibanez Destroyer, similar design, a Charvel hybrid. That was Bumblebee. This guitar actually right here, if you are unfamiliar, was actually buried with Dimebag Darrell. Dimebag Darrell, Eddie Van Halen were pretty close, and he wanted one, and basically Eddie was going to make him one, but he never got a chance to, so he ended up bearing that with him as well. And then you have a Kramer double neck. Then you got the Eddie Van Halen Wolfgang Special, Dragon Snake, Kramer again, another custom Franken Strat that he designed. Then you have the Eddie Van Halen Stripe series, which basically he has his own guitar brand. And basically that's when he started getting away from actual guitar brands and everything was his own brand itself, which is why like the PV5150 ended up having the name changed to the 6505, even though it is technically the same exact amp. Then we got another Stripe series here. This has more the Kramer headstock, the Eruption guitar, they call it. This is another Ibanez Destroyer guitar. They call it an EVH Striped Series Shark. In reality, it's just a replica. But then, oh yeah, here you go. This is the one that Fender made that was like 20 grand. But he had some interesting other stuff too, like this Kramer Pacer, you know, or Ripley's guitar. He had a couple of random things in there. Charvel Hydra. I think one of the weirdest ones that he had that I didn't even know about was a Tisco Del Rey. This is like one of those crappy Sears catalog guitars. Basically, back in the 60s, you could order these cheap, like $50 to $100 guitars. Even back then, that was a decent amount of money for these guitars, and it was just some Japan guitar that got slapped together out of plywood, and this was actually Eddie's first guitar, so this is what got him into it. You know, to see all the crazy solos we see today. Now, I did read an article recently that said that Eddie believed that it wasn't the smoking, but the picks that he held in his mouth, because he held metal picks in his mouth for years, and it is a possibility there was lead, maybe, in those picks. So who knows what really got to him? Could have been the crazy smoking, could have been the guitar picks themselves. I'm not really here to debate it too much. All I can say is that, my God, we lost a good one, and haven't got another great guitarist. Because if he's going anywhere else, then I don't know what to tell you. He's got to be going there. He used some Mighty Mite pickups, which were made by Seymour Duncan, copies of DiMarzio Super Distortions. That I didn't know. He also used Gibson PAF, one of which was rewound by Seymour Duncan in 1978. I am curious because I'm not 100% positive what the actual pickup he used in the Frankenstrat guitar. I was pretty confident it was a Gibson pickup. It was a Gibson PAF because that's what he did back then. You know, back in 1974, it's not like today where we had all these different crazy guitars, you know, whatever option you want. It was, no. There was your 3 pickup Strat, all single coils. I don't even think they had an HSS back then. They might have, but I'm not 100% positive on that. If they did, it definitely didn't sound the same as a Gibson pickup, because I have played Fender pickups, and they have their own kind of, I guess, twang is the best way to describe them. But nothing like this existed. You know, Floyd Rose's were pretty new. I don't think they were the original ones. I don't think were even floating. His is actually not floating. His is a top-mounted Floyd Rose, meaning that He can bend the strings down, meaning making the strings looser, but he cannot bend them up, maybe a little bit. But it was a top-mounted guitar, so he was never a fully floating tremolo, which is definitely interesting as well. But he wanted something that nobody could copy. That was part of it too. So he just, made this crazy random design with these cheap guitar parts, slapped something together, got help with the wiring, put it all together, and then just shredded the hell out of everybody's mind. And it was definitely something else. I never got to see him live, and that is definitely something that I am sad about. I didn't really get into Van Halen until probably later middle school, I would say early high school. So this is like 2010-ish, we'll say, in that ballpark range, about 10 years ago. And then his last gig was 2015. I was in college. Even if I wanted to go to one of his concerts, there's no way I would have been able to afford it at the time. But I should have just sucked it up because just watching him play, all the videos you can see on YouTube, trying to learn some of the songs. The only song I really know by him that I can play successfully, I should say, is Running with the Devil, one of the most popular songs off the first album. But it is sad. As I said, we lost a good one here. And he's rocking heaven. That's really all I have to say. So thank you for spending a few minutes with me, respecting the man, the myth, the legend that is Van Halen. And as always, this is Gray's Guitars, and have a good one.